Welcome. This is the executive summary version of our introduction of Industry Graph. We invented Industry Graph to anticipate client interests for business and financial decision making. I am James Andrus, President and Technical Founder of News Patterns. We invented Industry Graph with our partnering company, Industry Building Blocks, who is headed by Alan Michaels. Several years ago, Google was interviewed by the Wall Street Journal. Eric Schmidt, who was CEO at the time, said some very interesting things. First of all, he said more and more searches are being done on your behalf without you needing to type. In other words, Google was anticipating what you might want to know without you needing to type it out. He went on to say that their users, they want Google to tell them what they should be doing next. This program of Google to anticipate user interests is now captured in its Knowledge Graph program. Knowledge Graph is running in the background of almost every Google device today and every Google interface, and trying to anticipate what a user really means or what they want to be doing next. Facebook, of course, has its Social Graph, which is using people-to-people relationships to determine user interest based on those relationships. And then there's Yahoo with its Interest Graph that is also trying to anticipate user interest in its network. Industry Graph now joins the major graphs of knowledge, social, and interest. Industry Graph is the combination of Industry Building Blocks classification system and News Patterns competitive discovery network. When you combine both of these two things, you have the power of anticipating business and financial decision making. Let me first talk about Industry Building Blocks as a component of Industry Graph. Industry Building Blocks is very special because it's the only classification system that is based on archetypes of competition. These archetypes of competition derive back from the work from Michael Porter of the Harvard Business School that defines all competition around competitors, suppliers, buyers, potential entrants, and substitutes. These forces are always interacting to determine the successful marketplace or the successful financial investment. What makes Industry Building Blocks additionally special is the fact that it's the most granular classification system in the world with over 15,000 industries. Indeed, 15,000 is an order of magnitude more granular than most other classification systems that exist. This level of complexity enables users of Industry Graph to start with the entire worldwide economy and then drill down into more and more refined industry and subgroup definitions to finally get to very specific lists of competitors, buyers, suppliers, new entrants, etc., defining what that industry is and the exact nature of the competition around it. The second important component of Industry Graph are the News Patterns proprietary algorithms for competitive discovery. We invented these algorithms many years ago as we were working with Fortune 50 companies. Their problem was assessing their market viability or potential threats or opportunities based on so many different regions, so many different technologies, and a huge flow of news and social media. We created the mathematical relationships of these news flows and these news trends to determine what could be emergent, what could be dissipating, what could be the primary driver in a marketplace, and who the major competitors, buyers, suppliers, etc. were. In fact, we are very much in sync with the Industry Building Block database based on the primary forces of competition as defined by Michael Porter. These real-time algorithms help us to anticipate what is happening and help our users anticipate what's happening. And we actually can take further steps of animating the visualizations of what competitive flows look like and how competitive interactions are happening between the market forces. As I just mentioned, we have the ability to animate the competitive forces amongst themselves. What you're seeing here is the transportation energy industry and the competitive forces that are now in play as defined by hundreds of thousands of news and social media articles over many weeks and months. What you're seeing here is a sense of what is primary, what is emergent, what is connected to what in terms of competitive forces, giving our users a sense of this is how they should anticipate competition playing itself out in a marketplace. And the utility of the radar that you're seeing here, in fact we call these news radars, is the ability to actually click on different components within the radar itself and see what those important news and social media articles are defining what competition is. The competitive discoveries made by our news patterns algorithms can be very powerful. In this chart, our news patterns algorithms discovered 5 months ahead of the marketplace, ahead of the stock market, that Nokia in the smartphone market had become relatively irrelevant. By 5 months, our news patterns anticipated that Nokia was losing its sense of relevancy amongst the competitive forces of buyers, suppliers, new apps, new technologies, new entrants, etc. That sense of irrelevancy was very quickly evident in our news patterns. Yet the stock market never noticed it until Nokia 5 months later announced that it would not be meeting handset expectations of the marketplace, whereupon Nokia lost approximately 50% of its stock price within a couple of weeks. This is the power of news patterns in terms of looking at competitive forces and looking at the news and flows of news and social media to discover what might be emergent and what might be a trend that should be anticipated in a marketplace. In the spirit of brevity for this executive summary, Industry Graph has many benefits. First of all, simplicity. Our users do not have to be sitting behind a dashboard figuring out what is interesting and how to drill down into it. Our system delivers what is relevant, what is timely, what is interesting, and potential threats and opportunities that are emergent in these business and financial decision-making contexts. The second thing is speed and mobility. The fact is that we can be condensing our insights down into very small text messages means that we can be delivering insights via any mobile device. Discovery is also a key benefit of Industry Graph, the discovery of relevant news, trends, and social media without searching, again, anticipating user needs. Discovery of interesting industries is also part of what we do. Our system can be discovering those interesting new industries that are evolving and emergent that may not be on the radar scope of our clients and users. This all leads into superior decision-making context, which every decision should really have a better context about what it is that's important and what should be paid attention to. And finally, with the granularity built within our Industry Graph system and the very specific discoveries that we can be making, Industry Graph delivers a very personalized discovery and alerting for business and financial decision making. With all this in mind, the intent of this executive summary was to show our participants today, and thank you for joining, the fact that Industry Graph is now joining the other major graphs that Google, Facebook, and Yahoo have been creating. All this again with a very specific goal of delivering superior business and financial decision making, much more focused than the other graphs that we're talking about, but in a context of now making a business decision based on the power of Industry Graph. Thank you for your participation today, and we are always open to listen to your ideas and perhaps your participation in our growing network. Thank you.